Most men don't worry because they're weak. They worry because they're carrying too much attention in the wrong places. You wake up already tense. Your mind jumps ahead to money, to time, to expectations, to outcomes you can't fully control. You replay conversations. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You calculate futures that haven't arrived. And by the time the day actually begins, your energy is already drained. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people won't tell you. Worry is not intelligence. It's a misdirected focus. You've been taught that worrying means you care, that anxiety is a sign of responsibility, that thinking ahead keeps you safe. But look honestly, has worry ever made you stronger? Has it ever produced clarity, discipline, or real progress? Stoic philosophy offers a brutal but freeing perspective. Life doesn't improve when you think more. It improves when you focus better. The Stoics never tried to eliminate worry by chasing positivity or comfort. They did something far more effective. They trained their minds to distinguish between what deserves attention and what deserves none. Because when everything feels important, you feel powerless. But when your focus is sharp, worry has nowhere to stand. In this video, you're not going to hear vague advice like stop stressing or just relax. That's useless. Instead, you'll learn what to stop worrying about entirely. And the one thing you must focus on instead if you want calm, strength, and direction as a man. Not motivation, not reassurance, but a clear mental axis you can return to every single day. If you've been feeling mentally crowded, if your thoughts never seem to shut off, if you're tired of carrying weight that isn't yours to carry, stay with me. Because once your focus is aligned, life doesn't become easy, but it becomes quiet. And in that quiet, real power returns. Part 1. Focus on what you control. Everything else is noise. Most of what drains you every day sits outside your control, and yet that's where most men place their attention. You worry about outcomes you can't guarantee. You replay conversations you can't change. You stress over how people might react, markets might move, or plans might collapse. None of that is power. It's a mental leakage. Stoic philosophy begins with a hard line in the sand. Some things are up to you, and most things are not. Confuse the two, and your life becomes constant tension. Epictetus put it plainly. Some things are in our control and others not. That sentence sounds simple, but if you truly lived by it, your anxiety would drop overnight. What is under your control? Your judgments, your decisions, your effort, your response. What is not? Results. Other people's behavior, timing, luck, public opinion. The modern man reverses this order. He obsesses over outcomes and neglects his response. He worries about respect instead of acting with integrity. He wants certainty instead of discipline. That inversion is why worry thrives. Stoicism flips it back. When something triggers anxiety, a Stoic asks one ruthless question: is this mine to command? If the answer is no, attention is withdrawn immediately. No negotiation, no emotional debate. Energy is too valuable to waste on what cannot be steered. If the answer is yes, action replaces worry. This is not passivity, it is precision. Think about how much of your stress comes from trying to manage things you were never meant to control. How fast success arrives, whether someone appreciates your effort. Whether the future unfolds exactly as planned, Marcus Aurelius warned against this trap. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength does not come from forcing life to behave. It comes from standing firmly inside your own agency. Here's the practical Stoic shift. Instead of asking, "How will this turn out?" ask, "What is the next correct action?" Instead of worrying, "What if this fails?" ask, Am I acting with discipline right now? Instead of obsessing over approval, ask whether your conduct would still stand if no one ever applauded it. When your focus returns to action, worry loses its function. It has nothing left to do. A disciplined man doesn't need to predict the future. He prepares his character. This is why Stoics were calm in chaos. They weren't detached from reality. They were anchored to the only part of reality that answered to them. Your life becomes quieter the moment you stop giving attention to what resists control. And here is the line to remember, the one that changes everything. The moment you focus on what you control, worry becomes unemployed. From here on, every other Stoic principle builds on this foundation. Because once your attention is no longer scattered, you finally have the strength to build something solid. Part 2. Build character, not comfort. Worry often doesn't come from having too much responsibility. It comes from living too comfortably while remaining inwardly untrained. When life has removed most external hardship, the mind turns inward and begins inventing problems. Comfort creates softness, and softness invites anxiety. A man who is rarely tested starts to fear everything that might test him. Stoic philosophy confronts this directly with a truth modern culture avoids. Comfort weakens men, but character steadies them. When your inner structure is weak, even small pressures feel overwhelming. When your character is strong, pressure becomes familiar rather than frightening. The Stoics understood something essential about the human mind. It needs resistance to remain calm. Without resistance, attention turns inward, looping endlessly. This is why Stoicism embraces the idea of voluntary discomfort, the deliberate choice to do what is slightly difficult, even when it would be easier not to. Not to suffer unnecessarily, but to remain capable. Voluntary discomfort trains the nervous system to stay composed under strain. It reminds you that discomfort is survivable, temporary, and often useful. A man who regularly chooses difficulty no longer panics when difficulty chooses him. Think about how worry disappears when you are physically engaged in something demanding. Training when you don't feel like it quiets the mind because effort replaces rumination. Speaking a difficult truth clears anxiety because it removes inner conflict. Keeping a small promise, to wake up early, to finish a task, to show up when it's inconvenient, builds trust with yourself. Each of these actions strengthens your internal foundation. Worry thrives in men who doubt themselves. Character is built by proving, repeatedly, that you can be relied upon. Stoicism never framed hardship as punishment. It framed it as preparation. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way forward." The obstacle is not an interruption of your growth. It is the material from which growth is formed. Avoiding discomfort delays this process. Seeking comfort weakens your tolerance for life as it actually is. Modern life encourages the opposite. It tells you to optimize ease, remove friction, and eliminate struggle wherever possible. But this creates men who are externally comfortable and internally fragile. They worry not because life is unbearable, but because they are unprepared. Stoic discipline corrects this imbalance. It replaces constant mental noise with quiet confidence earned through action. When your days contain chosen difficulty, your mind stops inventing imaginary threats. The practice here is simple, but not easy. Each day, choose one small act of deliberate discomfort. Train when motivation is low. Finish a task without shortcuts. Speak honestly instead of pleasantly. Keep a promise that no one else is watching. These actions don't need to be dramatic. Their power lies in consistency. Over time, they reshape how you see yourself. You stop asking, "What if I can't handle this?" Because experience has already answered that question. Worry is often the symptom of a man who has not yet proven his own strength to himself. Character is the evidence that quiets doubt, When you train your character daily, anxiety loses its authority. It has no argument against discipline lived consistently. This is why Stoics didn't chase comfort or reassurance. They built something far more reliable. Remember this line and let it guide your actions. Strong character is the cure for chronic worry. Part 3. Stop imagining futures you may never live. Much of what men call worry is not rooted in reality at all. It is imagination without discipline. The mind runs ahead of life, constructing futures that feel vivid but remain unreal. Scenarios stack upon scenarios, each one more convincing than the last, until your body reacts as if the threat were already real. Stoic philosophy treats this as a fundamental error of attention. When imagination is left unchecked, it turns against you, consuming energy that should be used for action. As Seneca observed with sharp clarity, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. That suffering feels real, but it is paid for in advance for events that may never arrive. Men are especially prone to this pattern. The mind gravitates toward what-if questions. What if this fails? What if I make the wrong move? What if I lose what I've built? These questions feel responsible, even intelligent, but they rarely lead to decisive action. Instead, they freeze momentum. The man caught in what-if thinking prepares endlessly for disasters instead of building strength for the present. He spends his mental energy rehearsing defeat rather than practicing competence. The irony is that by trying to protect himself from future pain, he creates constant pain now. Stoicism reframes this habit entirely. It draws a clear boundary between foresight and fantasy. Preparing wisely for tomorrow is different from emotionally living there. The Stoics warned that when your attention abandons the present moment, you abandon the only place where influence is possible. You cannot act in an imagined future. You cannot train there, decide there, or correct courses there. Action only exists now. Discipline only exists now. Characters are formed only now. This is why Stoic calm is not passive or dreamy. It is anchored. A Stoic does not deny the future. He simply refuses to mentally reside in it. He understands that most imagined outcomes dissolve the moment disciplined action begins. When your day is filled with concrete effort, the mind has no space to invent unnecessary fears. Work collapses speculation. Responsibility dissolves fantasy. The practical shift is subtle but powerful. Whenever your mind begins projecting ahead, return it to the task directly in front of you. Not the entire plan. Not the final outcome. Just the next correct action. If you are training, train. If you are working, work. If a decision must be made, make it cleanly and move forward. The present moment is not small, it is complete. It contains everything required to act with integrity and strength. This is not avoidance, it is precision. The future will arrive whether you imagine it or not. When it does, it will be faced with the character you have built today. Men who live inside imagined futures weaken themselves. Men who live inside disciplined days prepare quietly and effectively. Worry fades when imagination is restrained and effort is applied. The mind becomes calmer not because life is certain, but because attention is properly placed. Hold on to this Stoic truth and return to it often. The present moment is the only place power exists. Part 4. Let go of other people's opinions. One of the deepest sources of worry for men is not failure itself, but the fear of being seen as a failure. It is the anxiety of appearing weak, irrelevant, or behind in an invisible hierarchy. Long after physical survival stopped being the main threat, social judgment took its place. Men now measure themselves against expectations, status symbols, and imagined verdicts from others. This constant self-surveillance creates a quiet tension that never fully rests. You are not just living your life. You are watching yourself live it through other people's eyes. Stoic philosophy dismantles this pressure at its root. It teaches that honor does not come from approval, applause, or reputation, but from conduct. What matters is not how you are perceived, but how you act when no one is watching. The Stoics understood that public opinion is unstable by nature. It shifts, contradicts itself, and often rewards the wrong qualities. Building your inner life on something so fragile guarantees anxiety. When your sense of worth depends on external validation, peace becomes impossible. Marcus Aurelius expressed this with severe simplicity. "I do my duty, the rest is noise." That sentence is not indifference, it is discipline. Duty anchors a man to something solid. Noise is everything else: praise, criticism, gossip, trends, and comparison. When you confuse noise for guidance, your attention fractures. When you return to duty, your mind stabilizes. Modern life amplifies this struggle relentlessly. Social media turns comparison into a daily ritual, inviting you to measure your life against curated highlights of others. Status pressure reinforces the idea that your value must be visible, impressive, and constantly updated. Even silence can feel like failure when everyone else appears to be performing success. This environment feeds worry because it keeps your focus outward, always checking, always adjusting, never settled. Stoicism offers an exit by redirecting attention inward, toward standards you actually control. Letting go of other people's opinions does not mean isolating yourself or becoming arrogant. It means choosing whose judgment matters. A Stoic listens to reason, conscience, and principle, not to every passing voice. When feedback aligns with truth, it is useful. When it is driven by envy, ignorance, or fear, it is irrelevant. Learning to tell the difference is a form of maturity. Without that skill, every opinion feels like a threat. The practical work here is internal. When you feel the urge to seek approval or fear judgment, pause and ask whether your actions align with your values. If they do, proceed calmly. If they do not, correct them quietly. Either way, the crowd does not need to be consulted. Over time, this practice builds a deep, unshakable confidence, not the loud kind, but the grounded kind that does not need constant reinforcement. Worry fades when self-respect replaces reputation management. The moment you stop outsourcing your worth, your mind grows quieter and more focused. Hold this principle firmly as you move forward. Respect yourself first. The rest follows or fades. Part 5. Replace worry with daily discipline. Worry is rarely a sign that something is truly wrong. More often, it is unused energy with no clear direction. When your days lack structure, the mind fills the gap with speculation, doubt, and endless mental rehearsal. Anxiety thrives in open space because attention has not been claimed by something concrete. Stoic philosophy does not try to soothe this restlessness with reassurance. Instead, it gives the mind a task. Discipline is how excess mental energy is converted into stability. The Stoics understood that you don't eliminate worry by fighting it head-on. You eliminate it by replacing it. Routine, structure, and repetition are not about control for its own sake. They are about creating order where chaos would otherwise grow. When your day follows a deliberate rhythm, your thoughts naturally settle. You stop asking, "What should I be doing right now?" because the answer is already built into your life. That clarity removes friction, hesitation, and the quiet anxiety of constant decision-making. Stoic discipline rests on 3 pillars: the body, the mind, and duty. The body is disciplined through physical effort and restraint. Training, movement, and endurance ground you in reality and remind you that discomfort is survivable. A trained body steadies the nervous system and prevents the mind from spiraling into imagined threats. Men who neglect the body often find their thoughts becoming restless and uncontained because there is no physical anchor to bring attention back to the present. The second pillar is the mind. This is trained not through endless thinking, but through reflection and clarity. Stoics practiced examining their thoughts, questioning exaggerated fears, and returning perception to proportion. Reading, journaling, and deliberate silence were tools for sharpening judgment. A disciplined mind does not chase every thought that appears. It evaluates and releases what is unnecessary. When the mind is trained this way, worry loses its persuasive power and begins to feel hollow. The third pillar is duty, and it may be the most important. Duty means showing up, completing tasks, and fulfilling responsibilities regardless of mood. Worry often arises when responsibilities are vague or avoided. Discipline removes that ambiguity. When you know what is required of you and you do it consistently, anxiety has nothing to attach itself to. Duty builds self-respect, and self-respect quiets the inner voice that constantly questions your adequacy. Simple rituals make this discipline practical. A morning ritual sets the tone before the world demands your attention. It doesn't need to be elaborate, just intentional. Physical movement, planning the day, or a moment of quiet focus signals to your mind that the day is under command. In the evening, a brief review closes the loop. You look at where you acted well, where you fell short, and where tomorrow requires adjustment. This turns mistakes into lessons instead of sources of regret. Repetition is what transforms discipline from effort into identity. Motivation fades, but systems endure. The Stoics never trusted emotion to govern action because emotion is unreliable. They trusted habits. When discipline is repeated daily, it becomes automatic, and the mind relaxes because it no longer needs to negotiate every step. Over time, this creates a sense of inner order that worry cannot easily disrupt. Worry often pretends to be preparation, but discipline is the real preparation. When your body is trained, your mind examined, and your duties fulfilled, you can rest without guilt. There is nothing left to mentally rehearse. You have done what today required. This is why Stoics valued structure so deeply. Not because life should be rigid, but because the mind needs direction to remain calm. Remember this principle as you build your days. Discipline gives your mind something better to do than worry. Part 6. Remember, you will die. Use that clarity. Most people avoid thinking about death because they believe it will make life darker. The Stoics believed the opposite. They practiced Memento Mori not as a morbid obsession, but as a tool for clarity. Remembering that your time is limited does not drain meaning from life. It concentrates it. When you accept that your days are numbered, trivial worries lose their authority. You stop treating every inconvenience as a crisis and every delay as a disaster. Mortality sharpens judgment. Stoic philosophy understood that much of human anxiety comes from living as if time were infinite. When you assume you have endless tomorrows, you waste today on resentment, fear, and hesitation. You argue with reality. You postpone action. You tolerate what should be corrected. The awareness of death cuts through this fog. It forces a simple, grounding question. Is this worth my limited time? If the answer is no, the worry attached to it begins to dissolve. Seneca warned that life feels short not because it is brief, but because much of it is squandered. He saw worry as one of the greatest thieves of time, an activity that consumes energy without producing action. Anxiety keeps you mentally busy while leaving life untouched. When you remember that every hour spent worrying is an hour never returned, your relationship with fear changes. You become more selective about what deserves attention. Marcus Aurelius returned to this idea repeatedly. He reminded himself that emperors and laborers alike share the same fate, and that death equalizes all status, praise, and criticism. This realization didn't make him careless. It made him precise. He focused on doing his duty well in the short window he had, unconcerned with applause or complaint. Mortality stripped life down to essentials. Act with integrity, fulfill your role, and let the rest go. Memento Mori removes a great deal of unnecessary worry because it exposes how small many concerns truly are. The fear of embarrassment, the obsession with being judged, the anxiety over minor setbacks. These shrink when placed next to the reality of finite time. You begin to see worry not as protection, but as distraction. It pulls attention away from what actually matters and scatters it across imagined futures that may never arrive. The Stoic question becomes a filter you can apply daily. Is this worth my limited time and energy? Does this concern improve my character, fulfill my duty, or help me act rightly? If not, it is likely noise. This does not mean ignoring real problems. It means addressing only what deserves to be addressed and refusing to mentally linger on what does not. Clarity grows when you stop treating every thought as equally important. Remembering death does not make life smaller. It makes it more deliberate. You choose your battles more carefully. You speak more honestly. You act sooner instead of waiting for perfect conditions. And you worry less, not because life is safe, but because you no longer want to waste what is rare. Hold this truth close, especially when anxiety tries to pull you into endless mental loops. When time is precious, worry feels expensive. What you've explored in this video is not a set of motivational tricks or comforting ideas. It is a practical framework for living with less inner noise and more inner strength. We began with control, learning to withdraw attention from what you cannot command and return it to your judgments, actions, and responses. We moved into character, where discipline and chosen difficulty replace comfort as the source of stability. From there, we grounded everything in present action, stepping out of imagined futures and back into the only moment where power actually exists. We then addressed detachment, letting go of other people's opinions so your worth is no longer dependent on approval, comparison, or status. We reinforced daily discipline, using routine, structure, and repetition to give the mind direction instead of letting worry consume unused energy. Finally, we faced mortality awareness, not as something dark or pessimistic, but as a clarifying truth that cuts away trivial concerns and forces you to live deliberately. This is the core of Stoic philosophy. It doesn't make life easier. It makes you steadier. Problems don't disappear, but your relationship to them changes. You stop wasting attention on what drains you and start investing it in what strengthens you. Now don't try to apply everything at once. That's another form of worry. Choose one axis: control, character, present action, detachment, discipline, or mortality awareness, and live it deliberately for the next 7 days. Test it through action, not thought. Stoicism only works when it is practiced. Thank you for spending your time here. It means more than you think. Time is finite, and choosing how you use it is an act of self-respect. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay disciplined, stay grounded. Focus creates calm, action creates confidence,